thanks for having me in this panel. Also, I believe it's a great initiative by Animation Express to have all the leading minds from the industry together. And it's a great privilege to be a part of such an event. So before sharing our showreel, I think I should give an overview about how things works in Famulus. When it comes to pipeline, we have a very simple and straight pipeline in Famulus. Being a mid-sized studio, we have to deal with a lot of different formats projects, and hence we have a pipeline very flexible and adaptable. We have built this pipeline and workflow, I believe, in consultation with our departmental supervisors and leads on floor. By keeping the workflow simple, what I mean by that is it helps us to automate the workflow with the help of tools and coding very easily to our advantages. When it comes to technology, I think we have enough room to incorporate technical advancements. We adjust and mold our structure to incorporate the use of new technology and new tools. Basically, technology is included in a workflow only if it helps us to achieve better quality or a faster output. Generally, the standard softwares that we have is pretty much simple. It's Autodesk Maya, Houdini, Nuke, which is pretty much standard in the industry. We mostly work with Arnold as our main renderer, which is with ACs as a workflow. So moving forward, I believe I will share my presentation, our showreel from Famulus, which we all in Famulus are very proud of. Should I share it?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Dhiraj.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anil.
Now my man is gone, and I know I've been so wrong. Now he's on his way, and I know it was over anyway, and I know it was over anyway.
What I'm about to show you has only been known to a handful of people.
साल से उस दिन पार्लियामेंट हाउस में 5 नहीं 6 टेररिस्ट इन्वॉल्व था।
और ये छठा आतंकवादी कहा गया।
Thank you guys. If at all anybody has any questions regarding technicalities of this, I can answer this.
Yeah, Dhiraj, we'll get on with the panel discussion. Can the rest of the panelists please switch on their videos and their audio? I don't like you, Dhiraj. I'll tell you why. Every time I see the work, the kind of work you're doing, I wish I was doing the same.
Oh, no. There will be quite a few this year that will be coming up.
So you'll make me not like you more and more.
I know that you must have seen this, but this is not specific.
No, but it's so good that you feel like, I wish I had done that.
I think the humpback one you must have seen for the first time, the full version of it.
Yeah, but fantastic work. I must compliment you. I meant to compliment you. I didn't mean to say that I don't like you, but yeah, I don't like you also. Both of them.
Yeah, it is under the leadership of Mr. Suchit Mukherjee. You know him better.
Yeah. So great. I mean, let's get on with our panel discussion now that we have. Does anyone want to comment on what you all just saw? Any of the panelists? Please go ahead and comment. I gave my comments. Samit, do you want to make any comments? Sanath, do you want to make any? PC, want to make any comments?
I really would like to comment because it's wonderful to see work of good quality coming up and very, very impressive because we moved out of the technology space and we are really in the storytelling space where nobody really even talk about technology. We just show the work and people just get hooked on. And it's wonderful to see work like that more coming up, and I'll really congratulate pushing those boundaries.
Absolutely. So do you want to say anything? Navin, you got a chance now. And any other Navin? Navin
Yeah,
Venkatesh?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing to see such work come out, because this is what inspires us to actually, we dream about doing such kind of work, but finally to see it on the screen with such quality really pushes the boundary. I think this is exactly what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, Srini, Bangalore, Karnataka, ahoy.
Hi.
Yeah, let's hear something from Karnataka.
It was wonderful to see. In fact, the special ops that I just saw that. I mean, like, and I never knew that some of these scenes have been created.
Especially the Parliament one. Parliament one was exciting.
Yeah, Parliament one. Exactly. I was like kind of shocked. I mean, I always thought that it was the real one. I mean, like, I was wondering how it was shot. Seeing this, I thought really great work by Dhiraj and team. I congratulate them and would love to do.
Thank you, Srinivas.
Yeah, so Samit, you also got to shower some praise on them.
So I actually was surprised when I saw this Parliament shot, I think last year, and when I saw special ops on OTT, even I had no idea that this was CG. And especially we coming from the animation VFX background, and when we are fooled, I think this is a fantastic job. I mean, like, what else do we have to say? When we have to see the making and then believe that this was not real and done in VFX. So hats off, Team Famulus. Dhiraj and me, we know each other for quite a long time, and I really appreciate it.
Godwin, you got to either shower praise or give the odd man out and criticize it.
Kind of, it's totally fabulous. Yeah,
Famulus, not fabulous. Famulus.
Yeah, Famulus. Yes, and. And I just want to have a kind of a few of the queries, like one with the C and all those things. In particular, which software or which render that you have used for this thing?
As I mentioned, we usually only work with Autodesk Maya mainly, and our main render is always consolidated everything to Arnold. We keep it pretty standard so that we can, work things around and get all technology within our pipeline, within our workflow. So we tend to keep it very simple with Autodesk Maya and Arnold. And of course, Nuke.
Yeah.
Sid, you want to say anything? Sid and Patro.
I really enjoyed watching that reel. I know Shuchit as well. So very good work you guys are doing. Congratulations.
Great.
Thanks.
Patro? Come on, unmute yourself. Navin Kumar. Unless you don't want to say anything, and I can get on with the panel discussion.
Yeah, it's actually very nice work. Actually, I didn't have a chance to watch it on the OTT platform, but I've seen this here. It's really a good job. And yes, I've seen this Mission Mangal work. That was really good, and I didn't know like who did the job when I watched the movie, but now yes, I know. It's really nice work actually.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask a question from Samit. What's the ideal future VFX pipeline? Then we'll go into what happened during pandemic, what challenges and all that. Could you
so you decide to start with me first?
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I can only talk about technology because we all know that we all came out of pandemic. Animation games, e-learning, e-commerce all grew because they were all 3D. And I think the most affected industry in this group would be the VFX because the shoots were not happening. And whatever shoot happened, we had to finish those things and all. So I think there was a need of creating a new pipeline to fulfill the trends or, so there are a lot of things which came in during pandemic, which is virtual production, because shooting inside the bubble, traveling, artists, you have limitations of crew members and so on. So there are so many things that has evolved in the VFX industry now. And so are the technology company which are supporting. And also hats off to people like, all these panelists who are from the industry, that they are adapting the technology, because gone are the days where they used to be only thinking about one pipeline, but now the new pipelines have been, acceptance to the new pipelines are happening. Technology companies are bringing in new tools. For example, I just wanted to add one or two things that we added a new baby to our portfolio. So we acquired Moxion in the month of Jan, which is a real-time review tool. Like, when you're shooting and then you want to review your 4K files on your mobile or tablet or wherever you are in the world, that makes it possible. And this is the need of the hour, because we all know that OTT is growing and there are multiple directors directing a series, and there could be one or two creative people who cannot be present at all places, right? So if they want to, see what the shoot is going on and all, real-time 4K viewing on the phone while the shooting is happening anywhere else, and that's something which is really interesting. And not only that, you can comment on it, you can review it. You also have a Zoom team, all of these collaboratively talking, discussing on one cloud platform. These are a couple of technologies which we are adding to the industry, and I think apart from the virtual production and real-time playback and all the other things.
Fantastic. So I'll begin with Dhiraj, who started here. So what's the ideal future-ready VFX pipeline looking like? What should it be able to do, keeping in mind the pandemic? Then, I leave that to Godwin and I leave it to Navin, Sanath, Srini, and the other Navin also to answer as we go along. Don't let me talk. You all guys talk. Be bearing this in mind.
As I said, we have a standard pipeline.
Not just yours. I'm saying, what is it looking like? The ideal one.
The ideal one, I believe it's the next generation giant is going to be Unreal. That's pretty clear to everybody. The pipeline and the discussion that we do on pipeline is consolidated to a secondary thought, I believe. But next generation is going to be Unreal. And of course, USD, the Alembic is shifted into the USD platform, from where you can, just take data and move it, juggle it between the different softwares. So, and it was pretty interesting to know what Samit said, that Moxion is a real-time tool that Autodesk is coming up with, and I'm really looking forward for it, because once you are in the shoot, you really need something like this to have a quick review. That happens, and I believe it will be a great thing.
Okay, who's next? Don't let me talk. You all guys talk, please. PC, you want to talk? Unmute yourself and speak. PC, if you're speaking. Sanath, unmute. Basics of unmute yourself. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So the future, the moment I look at future, what I see is whatever we are using today is going to be completely obsolete, is the future I am seeing. Where it's coming from what has been going on for last maybe 25 years, which I have been watching. Okay. So the kind of changes happened was really, really unimaginable from the perspective. And even if you're 10 years back, if you look back and see what is happening now, it was not there in the picture at all. Correct? And second thing, what happens is we keep saying it's a technology-driven thing. Correct? So when you stick on to technology too much, that becomes the danger for you to get obsolete, because the way filmmakers was stick on to negative, because initially when we are doing visual effects, we are doing directly on camera on negative, correct? So they thought that is the art, and the computer guys doesn't make any sense, correct? So then it completely changed. That entire generation is gone out of their scenario. And similarly, at this point of time, I'm seeing similar kind of major jump is going to happen, where even the entire film, how we're looking at the film, I keep talking about the film because that's the area I work extensively on. So the way we are imagining and we are visualizing and where we are putting the film is changing. And as a VFX practitioner, this is the time we influence everything of filmmaking, not just the execution. It's about how do you even write a story is getting influenced by the VFX technicians. So that's where the scenario right now. So tomorrow is really about, I don't know, and I really don't want to know, because every time you get into the new field, because you don't know and you're willing to change and we are willing to adopt. So I'm saying 10 years back, people are so bloody stuck on pipelines. Everybody talk about pipelines, correct?
Yeah.
It's about what is a pipeline you broke in this project is what we talk about now, correct? That means that pipeline is about instant for that particular project, maybe for one particular thing, it keeps changing. So it's a real challenging time for everybody. And if you think that is exciting, then you will be in the business.
Okay, who wants to speak next? Sid, you seem eager to speak.
Sure. So I have a slightly different approach. In fact, I had given a TED talk at the ICER Institute in Pune about this very thing. What is the future of visual effects? And
I'm talking about pipelines, not just VFX, pipeline, basically, more focus.
Yes, but pipelines, okay, fine. It applies to the broader picture, but the pipeline I foresee in the foreseeable future is going to be heavily influenced by artificial intelligence. I see AI and machine learning taking massive leaps in terms of automating a lot of steps that we do today by hand. There are going to be modules available with which you can literally just string data sets together. And I honestly feel that pipelines are going to collapse and they are going to be rewritten. I feel that there will be many, many steps that will get eliminated along the way. I see a lot of tasks pretty much disappearing. And I see many, many new tasks, new challenges, new responsibilities coming into place. We are ourselves have been experimenting and doing and had some pretty good varying degrees of success, I would say, but success nonetheless at being able to identify and eliminate a lot of processes that shouldn't exist, I think, as of today. And in the future, with the exponential increase in the abilities of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all the modules that we have even currently, if we just apply Moore's law to those modules, we are looking at a far and greatly different and changed VFX landscape in the next 7 to 10 years. So I'm already focusing on that and working backwards from at what point do the jobs that we currently have what are the tasks that are going to be eliminated, destroyed, and what is the regeneration of all of this work over the coming 5 years. And that's kind of the future I see for the industry. And it's going to be difficult to predict exactly what it is, but it's probably going to end up somewhere there.
Fantastic. Who else wants to pipe up now? Srini, you want to throw some ideas? Godwin, Navin, please, you guys have to just put your hand up.
I just want to take. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So like I would just try to say that like in the late 90s, they were kind of like where 3D Studio Max release 2 or release 3 were there. Coming up to around Maya alias Wavefront was there. Then the Autodesk came out and took over it. And I would say that all the new renderers which was available, like which was getting developed to make the rendering much more faster. I think before a long time back, it was also you think twice before to render any stuff with motion blur or not. Right now, it's kind of very much easier. It's much more faster. And way ahead I'm seeing is Unreal, which is much more easier for an artist to come and do the work rather than creating it's like a whole lot of set and assets are already available. So I could see that the film productions are going to be much more of a tighter schedule, and Unreal is there, which can create a lot more support in creating much more faster output. And currently we are doing some of the Unreal work. I was very it's awesome. It was very easy to get all the stuff all together and get things going on. So I see myself in I'm quite bullish on Unreal. So
okay,
that's what I will say.
Who's next?
And also I've just seen that even for sake even 3 years Max for an effects, the kind of new thing which has come out, which is Typeflow, which is so powerful and so procedurally based complicated effects, which was which happens out there. I was really surprised to see that 3 years Max is coming up with that too. It's really mind blowing. Yeah.
Excellent. Who else is next? Srini, if you don't speak, nobody will. You won't speak. You want to speak? Speak.
Yeah, I kind of agree with both Sanath and Sid. One is the technology has to be an enabler, and too much of technology will strangle. But at the same time, at the other end, we don't know what we're expecting to come, because with technology is changing and the real production getting into virtual production, with the advent of NCAMs and volumetric scans and so many other things expected to hit the market. Yeah, one side we have the Unreal Engine, which is highly popular and people are using it, and we ourselves did it recently, where the epic short film, where 9 studios came out with some really good stuff using Unreal, using the facility in Bangalore. So I feel that it's very highly unpredictable to say at this point of time, but technology will keep evolving. It will bring down the workforce also. So it is also negative, because people who get trained at institutions like the ones that I run also get affected.
No, but you'll get them trained in other tools.
Yeah, correct. So the training will get affected big time, because everybody will try to get trained on the job. Because, like, for example, NCAM, there is no institution that training on NCAM. So what we had to do was we had to actually send my technician to Mumbai to get trained in one of the very few technicians in the country who knows how to operate an NCAM. Because there are only about 6 NCAMs in the country, out of which 2 we have it in our facility. So one side is the technology, and one side it is only one certain class or certain grade of people will get work to do, whereas the others who don't upgrade themselves with the technologies that are required will not be able to do anything. So it's like, it's good and bad both for the industry. So it's very highly unpredictable as soon as the technologies come in, because at one side I'm talking about the training which I run, at one side I'm trying to talk about the technologies but which I possess in the facility. Both sides, it's like it has its pros and cons. So I think we just have to go with the flow, like Sanath and Sid told. At that point of time, whatever comes, we need to do it. And with our finishing school, we are trying to bring in that kind of training on the technologies that we give also, and trying to bridge a gap. So whatever little possible that we could do to help the industry, we're trying to do. But the field as such is very unpredictable. And being a filmmaker myself also, I have seen a lot of change in techniques of filmmaking, where people are trying to look at easier options, like instead of putting up a huge set of a couple of crores, people are ready to go into the LED screen technologies, and which eventually results in lesser cost for the producer. As a producer, I try to do a few scenes the unconventional way. The conventional way is putting up a set or using the screens there. But here we try to set up some LED screens and try to use NCAM on and try to do something. We're trying to do something, but it's very tough to predict, because this industry got affected during the pandemic. 2 industries, so the education and the entertainment industry. And being a part of both the industries, I think I saw the people evolve. And this pandemic has taught us a lot of ways to, I would say, the hacks, or how to use technology in the best possible way to bring down cost. So going forward, it's highly unpredictable, but we should all stay together as an industry and try to come out with options that are viable and that are possible to be used by everyone. Because when you have more of technology, the costs also increase. So from the content creators' point of view, we need to come out with options which we are working on, and we would like to present it to the industry very soon. And I'm very sure that it will help the VFX industry in a long way to go.
Thanks for that. Now both the Navins are left. Who's beginning? Which one?
I just agree on what Sid said and what Srinivas said. Is for a mid-sized studio like us, it's always a challenge to provide more economical and quick results. And for us, it's the technology that we have to depend on. That's the only way we're going to bring down the cost and probably quicker solutions. And the challenge has been always for us is now that with the pandemic, the whole infrastructure has changed. It's become a bigger challenge, because the pipeline we're working on right now has to be completely, the VFX pipeline has to change, has to adapt. And not only that, we now have to be quicker, and quality wise, the expectations are pretty high. This is where our challenge is. So probably I'll agree with Sid, unless AI crops in and helps out in probably with better quality, probably more economical solution, the quicker solution is what we can depend on for the future. And that's what we want.
Yep. So thanks. Now, Navin, you're left. Kumar.
Yeah. So
stick your neck out. Stick your neck out and make a prediction.
So I would say, like, I mean, whatever I've experienced here. So the existing pipeline, the way it goes, it is not working anymore. When the linear method, which is not working anymore, and we are about to, kind of, I wouldn't say we are rewriting it, but it is a kind of absolute now. And it's not just the pipeline part of it, but it is also the hardware is not supporting anymore, and the networking, everything we had to upgrade ourselves in terms of to meet the existing, the new requirements, basically. Like the older ones was like 2K images. Now the 4K, they are coming up with 8Ks also, 6K, 8Ks also. So to address all these things, the 1 gig network is not working. So we are upgrading it to 10 gig networks, and the systems are moving to the a better, higher configured machines. That way, everything has to be changed. I mean, it is all the big cost involved, I would say. And yeah, I mean, on the development side, the newer things, like recently you have seen in the Nuke, there are like the AI implementations, like the copycat implementation was there, which was recently we have explored that. So which is reducing a lot of efforts of the artist. That is that direction, like if more things like AI related things come up and simplify the artist activity, maybe somewhere the savings can come into picture. I mean, as of
continue, please.
I mean, as of now, like these are the places where the the bottleneck, I would say, which is slowing down the process. I mean, with these things in, I mean, the more of newer things come up, and newer tools. With the newer tools, it will simplify the whole process, I think.
Thank you very much. You've been very brave. And I'll just tell you what the audience is saying. Bairam Patel is telling us that the near future in studio will be USD material, Material X, RT as a co-hub with Edit Bay. In the far future, you'll have brain-computer interface bidding, AI assistants taking over bidding. VK Gupta, Kamaya Gupta Vinakota, to spell out his full initials, says invisible pipelines. And Satish Narayan is talking about VFX. He's asking, is the VFX pipeline going to be reduced like the Canva, replacing the graphic designer to some extent? And VK has again suggested that you have to move from linear to modular pipelines. And so that's where we are at. So Samit, you heard all these fine gentlemen. Where is Autodesk coming into the picture with all these different requirements, with the 3D Max, with Shotgun, with all of the products that you launched?
See, 3ds Max and Maya have been there for quite a long time, like, for decades. And I think we realized it quite early that we have enough tools to build what we want. So what do we do next is identify the challenges of the studios or the artists who are working on this tool. The first thing what we did, and this was done much before pandemic, is we worked on the performance of the tools to make it much more faster. And as one of the panelists said, that we need to work faster, we need to deliver faster, because there's going to be more work coming in. And if we are delayed in the deliveries, so it's not going to work more. So performance enhancements, real-time viewport output without hitting the render button, that we all know that render has always been a pain. We all are trying to get rid of rendering, but anyways, we still have to wait. But not rendering and just having to see the almost end output on the viewport will also save a lot of artist time. So that's a lot of improvement. Dhiraj and others said that USD is the future. Maya is ready with USD. I'm like almost ready with the first level of USD, and we'll have the new version of Maya releasing soon, which will have some more better enhancement in USD. And the same is being done in 3ds Max also, because we have two products. We still don't want to treat them as two products. And even if the artists are comfortable working in different products, we still have a bridge so that they talk to each other seamlessly. Talking about production management, we all know ShotGrid has been very popular, and during pandemic, it became even more popular because every house became a facility, and every artist had to coordinate and communicate with the team. So ShotGrid became, and since it was cloud-based, it became very, very advanced, and people had this trust in a cloud-based workflow. And of course, we also have, I also wanted to add in the previous question is there's going to be a lot of VFX done on location. Like, we'll just be ready with the system at the location, and we do the basic compositing, basic, layering and everything ready, which we've thought about long back when we had Flame on the Mac system, where the artist could be on the system, grab the raw files immediately, just ingest it, do some basic compositing and show it to the director there itself. And in those days, people never trusted it, but now it's working very efficiently because Flame is on the laptop. You just go there, ingest your raw files and do a basic comp. And these kind of things are, we've always kept in mind, keeping the future in mind, and that's working out really well for us now. And of course, the other technologies which we have acquired, we have also acquired a company called as Tangent Lab, which has a product called as Loop, L-O-U-P-E, and which is a 3D asset management tool on the cloud. So we have not yet released it officially from Autodesk, but then we have some plans to mix it, merge it with other tools, and make it more efficient for the industry.
What about the company you acquired recently? How is that benefiting in January?
So again, as I said, it's a tool called as Moxion, which is a real-time playback of raw files or the 4K files on a mobile phone also. So maybe if I'm the director and I'm not able to go to a particular location and I have my assistants doing that, I don't have to wait for the footages to come and I have a look at it on the edit table. He can directly stream. Okay, this is like streaming, like how we are streaming our conversation live on maybe YouTube, Facebook and all. The same way they can stream live 4K files, and I can have a look at it and do changes and ask them to reshoot it or change the lighting or whatever I wanted. And at the same time, there can be a couple of people more joining that live streaming, commenting, and doing annotations, giving feedbacks, and so on. So even in post-production, if the editor wants to share his edit, the first level of edit, I don't have to be in the edit room. The timelines, the audio, all these tracks can be directly streamed live with multiple people joining in and giving advices, feedbacks, doing annotations, and so on. So this is going to be really very helpful, especially for for dailies in animation or VFX post-production or for live shoots, and in multiple ways.
I'm going to ask you another question. Is the rapid adoption and hunger for Unreal Engine getting a little wary?
Yes, it is. And because it has its own advantages, like, virtual production is big time, real-time rendering or real-time output is also the need of the hour. And that's the reason even Autodesk is, so we don't want to be, in our own silos. We always had integration done with the other products also. And the whole reason to do it is the community, the artist community or the studios should not suffer that, hey, I'm using an Autodesk product and now it does not talk to any one of the other products, So anyways, Unreal is an engine. So you create your content, and we worked on a live link where you can just push the content directly to Unreal, and vice versa. If you want to do some change, you don't have to export again the same thing. You just do the changes and it gets real-time updated on the engine. So in this way, we are trying to make the workflow and the pipeline much more tighter and integrated to save time and manpower.
Great. So, VK's suggestion, instead of linear, go for modular. Who wants to answer that? Sid seems enthusiastic. Go ahead.
I didn't catch your question exactly.
So, VK suggested shift from linear to modular pipelines. Instead of having a linear kind of a pipeline, you have modules which you can throw out, put back in, so that you can upgrade yourself.
Okay, I get it. Okay, I understand. Yes, I think for the most part, a lot of that is already happening. Where we are seeing cross hybridization between different steps, different procedures. And again, like I said, with the advent of upcoming tools that are going to be at our disposal, we would probably take the computational expense down to very, very small amounts, make it more, it's more about a creative, it'll be more about creative strengths, and it will be about managing and navigating ourselves through new technologies and so on and so forth. I think many departments will merge and fuse into one. I think the VFX, for me personally, the way I see it is, going forward, there won't be modelers, textures, riggers, lighters, compositors, so on and so forth. There'll be they'll all compress into one VFX artist. That's what's going to end up happening, because with the way things are going today, there's, like, if you just take Unreal as an example, that's just one thing. In that software, you can do everything. You can start and finish there, and then it becomes really about how much can one guy do. And if you have the creative and technical expertise, you could probably do it all. So I think, modular pipelines for sure. I think in the future, there might be a whole different pipeline, so to speak. And, a lot of skill sets are going to merge with each other, and people are going to be, because of the ease at which you can do things inside of these kinds of softwares, people will, I think the future VFX artists will have multiple skill sets rather than just one.
Great. Sanath, you want to say anything? Or Srini or Navin, whoever wants to speak, please raise your hand and speak.
I saw a note in the here.
Yeah, they're talking about it, but you can address that later.
Yeah.
First, the modular versus linear.
Yeah, so I completely agree to the point that visual effects, specifically where talk from the film perspective, every project is a unique project, and the filmmakers want something which is not done before. So the entire point for what we used to work is, it is about how do you change the way you work to get something totally not done before. So VFX for a film was never a fixed pipeline. Okay. Second thing, what I'm trying to say is, we have been seeing extensive change in technology, correct? So that is, by default, VFX artists are supposed to deal with it, because VFX is about bringing in technology to the basket. In a filmmaking process, if you look at it, when the traditional filmmakers say, oh, I'm not able to do it, that is when they look at a VFX guy and say, oh, I'm not able to do it. How do we do it? So we will bring in a way to make it happen for the filmmakers. That used to be the classical VFX exploration, correct? Right now, what I'm really seeing is VFX as a post is being slowly becoming obsolete. VFX is actually, if you're ready to take VFX to the pre-production, I think that is what the real future is, correct? So
you're talking about previous and all that. You're talking about previous.
No, not just the previous. Previous was also about 10 years back.
Okay.
We talk about previous as a unique thing 10 years back. Right now, everybody's saying Unreal Engine, right? Unreal Engine is basically a stage which is going to replace your shooting stage, correct? So now, if you want to do a Unreal Engine, which is like a real-time production, where it really matters is how are you making your assets and the locations or the characters in the even before the shoot. Our filmmakers are used to making decisions during the shoot, right? Now, if you don't able to visualize, or if you're not able to adapt to filmmakers' demand in their language in the pre-production, then our control on the project will go, correct? As a VFX execution, if you look at it, majority of the thing is compositing, correct? Lot of cleanup, lot of roto, lot of that 90% of the post work, if you look at it, it is that, correct? And that is where AI is going to give an impact, because a lot of the repeated thing will actually become more and more easier, correct? So what is it left? It is left with more of a creative and more of a artist developing work is going to come, right? So I'm not saying this will not be there, definitely will be there, but if you want to look at the real value thing, correct? So in visual effects, it used to be, oh, you do a film, that is where the real value is, correct? that's also getting disturbed. But the entire point is, if you want to be in that top of the chain, it is about adapting to the pre-production than to the post.
Okay. Dhiraj? Modular versus linear. Unmute yourself. Why are VFX people like that? They forget to unmute themselves.
If at all I have to answer linear versus modular, I would say, if I have understood it better, that it is already happening. But to an extent, it's about a software packages or a task-oriented thing that happens in a different software. Say you rig in a different software, or you do a muscle simulations in a different software. You go and do your FX in a different software. Altogether, you consolidate it and bring it to a final rendering software, maybe Claris or maybe Maya. That would be the modular system or a pipeline that can work and is working, I believe, but everybody is doing this behind the scenes. But I think if at all a pipeline can be designed that seamlessly anybody can, use all this expertise of individual tasks and softwares through one chain, it will be ideally very beneficial for everybody. But I understand that, for such things, I believe there needs to have different software licensings, maybe that the studio might have to go. For me, for our studio, it's just, I said, it's Maya, Houdini, and Nuke, or maybe Max, or maybe Autodesk packages. To take an expertise from different modules would be a different level of expense that a studio might have to go through.
Okay, great. Now we'll address the question which was addressed to Sanath. How they manage the pre-production workflow and collaboration during the pandemic through VPN or any other pipeline? Did they manage the design and pre-production works? How did they do all that, during the pandemic? Sanath or anyone else over here who wants to address it? PC, are you there?
I think it was a good question, because people think pre-production is quite easy to manage on being remotely. But interestingly, if you look at it, pre-production is where the hell of a lot of chaos is there. Everybody thinks there is a story, but there is really not a story, right? So there's a lot of uncertainties where it really demands that man-to-man interaction to have that kind. Rest of every kind of production we could actually do across. This pre-production where we are trying to develop something new, where we are trying to think of concept, that really had a major difficulty working from the remote location. Because to some extent we think, okay, we can give a specification and somebody will do, correct? That to get out of very unthought of kind of ideas to come out in that kind of scenario was extremely tough. When you sit across multiple people and bounce off ideas and improvise on something, the kind of fluidity we could not do it.
So what did you use? What tools did you use to get to work?
Yeah, we were using online chats. We are doing this because pre-production is basically about sitting around and talking only, right? Like this, where we try to do it and quickly we'll try to make some sketches or build up or bounce off certain things. But there was a bit of limitation there, correct? But what really helped is when you look at the production across, we are sitting using a technology, the ability to come up with quick images for people to understand become more easier, because a lot of things used to get lost in dialogues, used to get modularized into maybe a quick model or a sketch or something like that. So that way there was a bit of advantage. But I'm really looking at what can we do. I see quite a lot of possibility using virtual reality, where people find it much more comfortable, because there's no hung up. You can actually feel something across and doing. But in terms of adapting, that technology has a little bit of limitation. But pre-production, I think, will be on the virtual world, is where it really works.
Okay, Srini, you haven't spoken much. Come on, keep yourself busy. Give some ideas.
Yeah. So that's exactly the intention. What I was just listening to Sanath speak, because pre-production is one area which has always been ignored in our industry, and then over the years now it has picked up where the VFX supervisors are involved from the beginning. So I agree with him. The virtual environment created right from the storyboarding stage will help in creating better VFX for the later one, for the post work. So pre-FX, as somebody suggested in the chat also, I think the right word is pre-FX. So we all talk about visual effects or post VFX, post the production, we talk about that. But when being involved in production, I've seen various production houses keeping VFX as the last priority, and they feel that anything can be created after we shoot. So let us shoot whatever we want and then add this. Like for example, I was approached by a production house once to make a real scene look like a visual effects scene. That was a very unique requirement that was asked, where it was shot in a real scene, and they wanted it to make it look like a visual effects shot scene. So all kinds of requirements come up. So I think pre-FX is very important, which leads up to a better better visual effects in the end. And try throughout being involved with the process and coming up with the technologies as and when the requirement is, rather than forcing technology into something. Something which requires technology has to be done, rather than just for the sake of technology doing something doesn't work. So these are the problems that basically in the regional industries that I've seen. And now, of course, things are moving around, and we are trying to educate using various techniques, and we are promoting photogrammetry, promoting mocap and HMC, head motion capture and facial capture. We worked on a couple of very big projects last year end, which we will be announcing very soon. Some of the biggest, one of the biggest movies in the South we have worked on, and we are eager to show the superstar or whatever we have worked on. So we have tried to bring about the best things related to technologies in visual effects by doing these shots that we have done, and we are eager to show it. So I think when the work comes out, it will speak for itself. And yeah, we are highly excited at using the technologies of the AR. We are trying to integrate it into filmmaking. Virtual cinematography, if we can look at. Virtual cinematography is something which we can look forward to. So there are a lot of things that we're working on, and we're trying to make these technologies available and affordable to the content creators. That's very important, because as Mr. Navin was saying, that especially for indie studios and mid-sized studios, one is the excitement of using the technology, but if it is not affordable or viable, then it becomes a bottleneck. So we're trying to make it affordable, and that anybody could create content using these technologies at a cost that doesn't cost their pocket more. So I think we are all looking at exciting times. In the next 3 to 6 months, you can see a lot of announcements rolling out. And with the central government taking a lot of interest and being announced in the budget, I think we're looking at exciting times. I think it's all a positive phase. We have gone through the worst in the last couple of years. Now it's only the best to come. I would just end it with a positive note that we are looking at brighter times ahead.
Anyone else has any suggestions for indie studios, as well as for about the pre-production work? Samit, you want to speak? Godwin wants to speak. Whoever wants to speak, please speak up now. We've got about 5-7 minutes left.
I can only say one small thing is basically indie. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who is all the panelists who are actually working on live projects using different technologies, softwares, and at the same time very eagerly and happily sharing their pipeline and workflows with the industry and supporting the industry. And that's one very good thing. And thanks to Animation Express also. So even technology, we are trying to help even smaller studios like indie studios, where we have come up with indie licenses which are very affordable, so that at least they don't need to maybe pirate or but they need the software and they're not still using it and trying to do it in a 2D way or something like that.
Or they're using open source, whatever.
Yeah, or open source, and they get stuck and they don't get help. So we have always ready to help even indie studios. Of course, you guys are getting to learn from all the bigger studios. Pipelines are the same, tools are readily available. There are, and of course, talents. Like I have seen a lot of artists starting their own small startup because there are tons of work in the industry, even if not the complete movie, but they can get some outsourced job done in their smaller facility. It could be home, or it could be a home studio, whatever, boutique studio. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of help coming from the technology companies and bigger studios like all of you guys.
Great. So now we've got 7 minutes left. Beginning again. Sid and all of y'all, come up with the last points that you would like to talk about pipelines, current, the problems you'll face, the solutions you'll found, a minute and a half each.
It was obviously, at least during the first COVID, just because nobody was prepared, pipelines did not even exist. I think everyone, we tried to, everyone tried to work from home. In my experience with the not so great internet speeds that we enjoy in our country, working with 4K material, sending it back and forth across people who are in tier 2, tier 3 cities, towns, was really, really difficult. I delivered I delivered Family Man 2 during the pandemic. And I found it really difficult because we had artists who had all gone home. They were sitting in Sholapur and Patna and wherever else, and sending just one shot, the EX stars of one shot for them would take 5 hours. So we were just not prepared, and I didn't like the model too much. Then during the second wave, obviously Teradici and all the other VPNs had come in by that point. It got better, but again, it depends on the studio, the work they do. Our work is very creative. We don't do so much of the roto paint type stuff. It's more hardcore VFX, and that stuff is very collaborative. It needs to have, artists need to work together, and we found at least 30 to 40% inefficiencies in production. So personally speaking, I really like the studio model. I think it works the best, and for all strengths and purposes, I would still prefer to be in one place, doing it all together where it can be monitored from morning to night. That's my 2 bits.
Okay, Godwin?
Yeah, I would say that during the first wave, this White Turtle Studios have done a couple of shoots for.
Can you come closer to the mic because you're echoing too much?
Oh, is it? Hello.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Much better.
Yeah. So during the first wave, White Turtle Studios had done a shoot just a day before Amitabh Bachchan got COVID for Gulabo Sitabo. It was the first OTT movie that was being released within the pandemic, and believe me, since it was a content creation for most of the for the movie. So I think Amazon was very strict with the way that number of people had to come for the shoot or the crew members. So it was hardly even the directors would be being the DOP also, and hardly one more assistant. So I think during those times, some of the other the shoots were managed and getting things done, and there were lots of YouTubes and Instagram and lots of digital marketing, which was kind of in a big way. It was coming in a very big way. So yeah, as well as the other side was there, the Vision First guys, some of the guys went back to the native place, so then the connection wouldn't be there, and lots of issues were there, but then the work has to go on. And I think it was challenging yet exciting with all the content creations and that's what I would say.
Great. So Navin, you're very quiet, Navin Kumar. Both Navins are very quiet relatively. Guys, you got to speak. Yeah.
Okay. See, again, to agree with all the panelists, the pandemic taught us a lesson. I mean, one is how do we manage pipelines, and how do we manage technology? How do we manage a resource? How do we manage data? That was the biggest challenge for us. And I agree with the panelists. It took us time to adapt to everything. The challenge was great. But right now, what we see is going forward is we look at a hybrid model. We think that working from a single location is not going to be a solution. Making it work from different locations, people working from home, probably a set of people working from an office, from the studio might work. That's where we are looking at investing in technology, because I just don't foresee having 100 people or even 50 people sitting in a single studio and working. I don't see that as a future at all. Thanks to pandemic, it has helped us think in a hybrid model, or else we could have still stuck to it. But probably what we need is I agree, is we need affordable technology, more flexible pipelines to support this, and these days, as I agree with the panelists, the data has become huge from what we were handling a couple of years back. The data has become huge. And again, the support, we need better internets. We need much better hardwares for quicker process. So all this has to be there. So I just have to wait for the other 6 to 8 months and see where we are going with our technology. Otherwise, more is data transfers, hardware, softwares. So we have to look at everything, not just, but the future it's a hybrid model. We're not going to be sitting at one place and working. So it's going to be a virtual world throughout.
Okay. Patro? Navin?
Yeah, so actually, like what I have experienced is like, when we had similar, everyone had the same situation, and we had to, make sure the deliveries are happening in time. We had to give the high-end machines to their homes, so that they can, whatever they are working on, they don't have any issues, like because all the remote net communication, like what do you say, Terra DC or HPRGS, they were in that there are limitations, like you cannot see a high resolution. For VFX artists, they need the images to be much more better viewing and all that. So we had to provide them with the high-end machines what we were using at office. So that was a tedious job, I would say. Otherwise, the overall the pandemic taught us how to manage the whole thing from remote, also how we can deliver things. That's what I feel.
Fabulous. Sanath, Dhiraj, Srini, you all are left. Come on, you're getting a chance to be with spotlights, and you guys are kind of being reticent. Please go ahead.
I would like to just tell 2 points. One, if you look at the opportunities point of view, I see everybody see tough times and bad times. I see pandemic really opened up market, right? The connectivity really gone boom, and we could, if you really want to work according to a pipeline, correct, you can bring in projects from across the world, period. And that is the real positive thing really happened for from a pandemic point of view. You really have an access, and the technology also support. Second point about if you look at it, if you really look at visual effects, I do believe visual effects is about getting into the unknown and bringing those surprises every time what you do, correct? So if you look at it from that perspective, the time ahead is extremely exciting because the kind of options available for you, okay? What we saw 20 years back when computers came in on visual effects, and much higher excitement and possibilities are right now. There is going to be a lot of disturbances. There's going to be a lot of churning, but outcome, we are going to get something really exciting, correct? So when the digital thing came, great work came, more along with that, a lot of messy thing also happened, correct? Because so many things, when you try, you will make mistakes, and you're going to see those kind of mess ups. But at the end of it, I'm excited. This is another opportunity for our content to really go global. If you really use it, you will, if you want to take the story to the world.
Yeah, you're frozen, PC. You were saying something so deep, you got frozen. Or am I frozen? I'm confused. Okay. Deep thoughts, you froze the internet. Yeah, fantastic. So, PC, you said your bit. Now over to Dhiraj, and then finally Srini, and then last words to the great Mr. Shetty.
Okay, I'll add few points here. Yeah, like everybody in the industry, even we were challenged during the time of pandemic, but I think technology really helped us. There was no sideways in terms of the technology. Everything was pretty straightforward. Things moved on within a month or so for us also. But what was challenging is to the nature of individuals, I would say, where you actually have to, run out and hold out an individual and follow up with them, being a supervisor, being a head. You have to have a lot of meetings on the floor. Your working hours increases. That's all happened during the time of pandemic for us. But if at all, I have to answer, being in one place in a studio where, if at all you have to work with high-end VFX, high-end CGI work, getting everybody at one place and delivering a project is the best way. And I would also support the thought that we need to be in a studio premises to deliver the work.
So you and Sid are bedmates almost.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So Srini, and then finally, Samit will say a few words, and then we shall call it a day.
I mean, like we have spoken a lot about how COVID hit us, and the first wave caught us off the guard, and second and third wave we were better prepared. But as a creative industry, so nice ideas flow when you meet people and bounce off ideas, especially in the creative process. Though technology, you can access it from anywhere and do whatever you want. But I think our field being based on creativity, I think it's always good to have a team around, and then you bounce off ideas and come out with good thoughts. So having said that, I would like to quickly dwell upon one of these questions which Mr. Satish Narayan has asked. Without Anil permission, I'm just going into that question.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, because he asked about how much are we prepared for virtual production, and how long will it take us to migrate to virtual production. So I think we have already started migrating to virtual production. Most of the studios are looking at various options, and there are a lot of options available for that. And I think one of the movies which has used virtual production extensively is going to get released next month sometime, and where virtual production has been used in a big way, where LEDs.
So this was volumetric LEDs and all that.
Yeah, everything they have used it, and probably the budgets were there, they have used it. But I'm seeing that as and when the technology becomes more accessible to people, the price also will come down. It will become more affordable. So it's a question of time. Probably I look at a forecast. I would like to forecast a time. I don't know. I might be very ambitious, but probably in the next 6 months to 1 year, I would see a lot of studios using a lot of production houses using virtual production on a big scale. And we are already suggesting virtual production to a lot of our clients and saying that you could save a lot of time and money on it. And how do we educate the next generation students? Yes, I would like to take this also, because I've been in the education for the last 2.5 decades now. It's very difficult because being part of the academic pipeline, I know that a lot of the studios, a lot of the academies might not have the technologies that are already prevalent in the industry. It's a real challenge, but yes, some of them are really coming out with courses and curriculum suited for these technologies. But otherwise, the futuristic technologies has to be work on the studio front only, and probably things like a finishing school or an academy which can train students who pass out of these academies and then train them for 3 to 6 months and put them on the latest technologies is what will work. Apart from that, many of the top studios in the country have launched their training academies themselves, and where they already take people who are passed out from other brands in the country, and then they train them on the technologies that they use and the proprietary softwares that they use. So I think all this together is going to is taking our country to a next level, and I think very soon we would see all these things coming out in the work that comes out in the next few months.
Aapke muh mein ghee shakkar, as they say. Aapke muh mein ghee shakkar. Okay,
yeah, I've been always been positive, and I would like to continue being positive. I think we are in the best.
You sound like a good politician, but very good. No offense, man. Take it in the right spirit. Okay, I don't mean to be negative in my approach.
For a long time here in Karnataka, probably I sound like one,
but good, yeah. So now that Samit have his last words, he's heard all of you all. He's heard me taking all into directions, and he's also. So let's hear your words, your wise words, Samit.
You know what I feel. I completely understand what Sid must have gone through, because it's always good for the entire team to be under one roof, because I think most of our projects have a very shorter deadline, and we don't want to, spend that time communicating, having internet issues and so on. But yeah, slowly things got sorted. The internet became fine. TerraDC came in, so which helped. But yeah, there's definitely going to be this hybrid model in the future, which would make life flexible, because if a person or somebody has a personal issue and does not want to travel to office, at least the job won't get affected. And if a team wants to be at the location, they don't have to carry the entire hardware and stuff like that, because cloud is going to be really cloud is going to take the entire thing load in the future, which means the software is going to be on the cloud, the hardware is going to be on the cloud, the communication, everything, most of the thing will be on the cloud, which means VFX anywhere, anytime, So I think that's something which and luckily during pandemic, people have accepted, M&E industry has accepted cloud, which we never wanted even a single frame to go out of the box, but then it had, right? So, I mean, cloud acceptance is the future. And of course, I think all of us will be, You
also heard about virtual workstations, which are
absolutely, yeah. Virtual production is also the next thing, because as even Sanath said, a lot of the basic VFX, like be it roto, be it matte painting and all, would go. There won't be a need to do so, because a lot of things will be taken care during the shoot itself.
No, then also compositing, like Cognate and all that is coming in. That's another tool which allows in compositing too.
True.
Yeah. So what I was talking about, the role of virtual processors, virtual processing workstations, as well as the tools that you provide. How will they work in sync from your perspective?
See, I already said that whatever tools we have, we are
not production. I'm saying the virtual workstations we spoke about in the last session, the licensing part.
Oh, yeah. So see, when it comes to licensing, it's all on the cloud now. It's a named user-based license, so that a user does not have to again carry his own system. He can just use the system of the client or anywhere and just use his username ID and log in, and the software is activated. Also, in the future, we want to have all our softwares also on the cloud, so that you don't need to be dependent on a very powerful hardware always. Like, you can just have a basic minimum system, whereas the performance, the power, the farms, everything is on the cloud. The software is on the cloud, and just you can access it anywhere, anytime. And that these softwares will be connected, or will be talking to all the other softwares as well, so that the industry has a very smooth pipeline, and they don't have to disturb the pipeline as and when they move to another project or another pipeline and so on.
Fabulous. So, guys, Samit's your go-to man. His company is working very closely to make your life easier. Thank you for that. And let's continue with our association with them. Thank you all of you for sharing your views and your being very forthright in what you had to share. I hope it was useful for the audience. I'm a little tired now, and I should stop talking, and thank all of you all, and see you all again later. Thank you.